Hi Moonbeams, welcome back. It is Nikki T here at Moonchild Tarot, and I have got a tag video for you today. It is the Convince Me Oracle tag created by Strength Reversed, and I originally seen this on Lennox Reese's tag version of it, and then I was taken to Strength Reversed video, and I really liked how at Strength Reverse came from it as a point of view of needing convincing of the powers of Oracle, which, as you might know if you've been on the channel a while, I prefer tarot to oracle. So it was really good to hear a kind of very similar point of view, and I loved Lennox's video as well because she came at it from the opposite point of view where she uses oracle kind of a lot more. So it's been really eye-opening watching these videos. So without further ado, I have got a few decks here that I'm going to talk about. I have all of my decks lying around, all of my oracle decks lying around to go through as we answer the questions. So let's get started. So the first question is, what draws you to oracle decks? What qualities do you look for or avoid? Now, I've got my Urban Crow. This is the mini full Urban Crow oracle that you can get from MJ Cullinane Direct. I got this with my Raven's Dream Tarot. Forgot about it then. Memory went blank. And I got this to go with, because I love crows. Crows are just an amazing bird. And I have a couple of, oracles that have got crows in them. And I thought, a couple of, tarot that I've got the Murder of Crows, the Raven's Dream, obviously not crows, and the Crow Tarot. I wanted an oracle to go with them. And I love this oracle because MJ's artwork is just, I think one of the main things that draws me into oracle is the artwork. If I don't gel with the artwork, I'm not getting it. If I don't see myself being able to interpret the images or get along with the images and things like that, I'm not as keen on collage decks. Although I do have some collage decks, if that makes sense. There's a certain kind of type of collage decks that it's a feeling when I'm looking at oracle, and the same with tarot, the same with tarot is the artwork has to have some kind of emotional feeling with me. And I just love this because you've got the keyword and then you can just go from the picture. Like, there's so much within the imagery here that I can use intuitively, and that's what I think with oracle decks. Obviously it's not got the system, it's not got all the esoteric astrological kind of layers in place. You can just go from the image. What is the image telling you? He's exposed the hawk, I think that's a hawk or an eagle, like, are flying in. All the other birds have flown off and he's kind of exposed there, and we've got like all the flowers around. There's nowhere to kind of hide. Like, the imagery just gives you what you need. And the keyword the keywords on here is really good. Like, her artwork, the keywords, it's all that you need in terms of being able to read this. And I've often used this, the way I use oracle is I use it alongside tarot. So I will pull a card and then I will pull an oracle sometimes to match with it, and it kind of then gives me that different layer to it. Often when I'm doing a private reading, I will do like usually an 8 card spread of tarot, and then I will have the oracle. I will pick 2 or 3 oracles to kind of go as an overview, to help with that overview, to help hone it in. But I have done readings where I've done half tarot, half oracle, and that's been really successful, especially with decks like this where it's just a straightforward keyword and the image really kind of speaks a lot in terms of it's very chatty. I think this is a very chatty deck. It is very it can be quite blunt at times, give you the straight answer, but it can be quite cheeky as well. It's got that kind of very mischievous little scamp energy to it. Yeah, so I love this. Is one of my, I've got to say, this is one of my favorites in terms of oracle. It gets used a lot with my crow oracle, I need to put my teeth back in properly because obviously I've got some wrong teeth in today. I've not got false teeth, but I use this with my Crow Tarot and my Ravens Tarot, and they work really, really well. I think kind of where it's the vibes, where it's the same kind of, this is the same artist, it kind of goes together really, really well. So I like pairing my MJ decks with these because it just, you know, the artwork is similar. Again, if the artwork is too different, sometimes I might have a little bit of a problem with that, but I tend not to mix oracles with tarot just basically purely on aesthetics. I will kind of do different styles kind of mixed together. It's what the vibe is. Sorry, these are very slippy. What the vibe is, and I will talk about that maybe a little bit later. But yeah, so what I look for, artwork first and foremost. And then, you know, if it's got a good keyword, I can just go from that. I also do like having numerous keywords or kind of some sort of phrase that really, really helps me more. And I'll go on to another deck that I really like. And I think maybe sometimes I struggle with numerous keywords. So I'll talk about that post haste. Let me go on to another favorite that I have, which is, this is the Moonology Manifestations, and I was bought this, it's a gift. I had it on my wish list, and I love using this for like one card pulls for people. I was quite, you know, I was on TikTok quite a lot doing like one card readings, and this would be this is a well-used deck. As you can see, it's a well-loved, well-used deck, and I would use that because it just gives you all you need in that phrase, like release your blocks. Then I can kind of go on intuitively what's coming in and go from there. And as well, I like that it's got the you know, first quarter moon in Scorpio. You know that Scorpio is quite deep, quite mysterious, kind of, you know, the depths. I'm thinking I'm just learning more about astrology now, and you can then link that in together. So it's got more layers. The imagery, you know, sometimes the imagery jumps out, but I don't tend to use this, you know, for the imagery, because it is pretty bog standard imagery. It's not kind of the most interesting. I mean, that brilliant sunflowers, you can use that. But some of the imagery kind of doesn't, I mean, there, yeah, we've got the bow there, but some of the imagery doesn't really jump out in terms of being able to read it as intuitively. But the phrase, you don't need the guidebook really. And I think with me, and again, this is lazy Nikki talking. This is, you know, I've still got quite youngish children, haven't got infinite time to be putting my nose in a guidebook. I appreciate a deck that you can just pick up. So with this as well, you can just pick this up and read the images. You've got the keyword there. Like, it's just really, really good. And you can just be a bit of a lazy, not a lazy reader, but you know, you're not confined to a guidebook. And I appreciate not having to kind of dig deep into the guidebook in order to kind of interpret the message or things like that. Like that, pretty straightforward. Go for it. Go for it. When you're doing a one card reading and somebody just requires a message, all you need to do is to say, go for it. Channel that Aries energy. I'm an Aries rising. Channel that leadership. Go and do it. Go and get the work done. Go into your magician mode. Like, and again, with these oracles, I tend to, like I've just mentioned the magician, I tend to have an image flash up, whereas these oracles will flash up an image of a tarot, and I can kind of, you know, link it in with the tarot there. So I'm saying, oh, I'm seeing energy of the magician. You've got all the cards you need, all the kind of tools you need, not cards. I've got all the cards I need. You've got all the tools you need to go and do it. So go and do it. Go and get sorted. You know what I mean? So yeah, I do like this. This is a real favourite of mine. It's been used. It's been, you know, it doesn't look as battered as it has been, but it has been used a lot. It has been battered quite heavily and used, and people that are on my TikTok feed or have been on my lives will have seen this deck kind of come out, because again, I like to show the cards as well. I'm not one of these that will, you know, not show you the cards and give a message. I believe in being transparent and showing what the card is, just for clarity and transparency and things like that. So I really do like this one. However, for some reason, one of the other Moonology decks, this is the messages. I don't get on with this as much. Like, yeah, slow it down. The message is there. The image is a kind of a bit clearer, so the imagery is easier to work off. But I just don't know with this one. It doesn't grab me the way that, and I've used it and I've done good readings with it, and it's come out, but some of the, I think because some of the phrases are a little bit like, I'm just trying to find the card. Like, many of them are quite clear, but there are some like the past. Yeah, I struggle with it because I need a system to apply it to. And for me, this just, like, higher power. What does that mean? Like, I struggle with these that are quite vague. And that's not you know, that's a me problem rather than the deck's problem. I think I do struggle, you know, being neurodivergent. I don't want to bring it up all the time, but being neurodivergent, I struggle with naming my own feelings and kind of having that ability to say, oh, I'm feeling like this. Like, it's just, I will always think of it after the fact rather than at the moment. So to kind of really dig deep into this, like, word, like shadow work, like some of these phrases are great, cut your losses, but beginnings, again, you know, you've got the power, you've got that there, but some of them just don't really sit with me. So I'm trying to find the one that I always kind of, when I go, and it's, where is it? There it is, Enchanted. If I'm giving a single message to someone and I get enchanted, I go, and I've had to, and that's where maybe I need to spend some more time connecting with this deck, reading the guidebook. And again, that's something that I haven't, I struggle with. I always think of, when I pull this card, I think of the song by Taylor Swift. Something is enchanted to meet you, and she's walking down a big staircase, and she's got this big beautiful, I think it's red dress on. I'm not a Taylor Swift. My daughter used to be a Taylor Swift fan. She still likes her, but I only know little bits. And I always say, be the star of your own music video with this. Look at the enchanted things. Put yourself in that position of being in that, the beautiful dress and the beautiful staircase and things like that. So I then layer it into my lens, but I do need to spend a bit more time kind of getting into this. And again, this is one where maybe the images need reading kind of more than, I don't know. That is because I have all the Moonology decks. I do have the original Moonology, and I enjoy the original Moonology deck. I love this one, and I will pick this one over the other two. So I think in terms of rating, this would be top. The original Moonology would be second, and then the messages would be third. Now, on the note of, and I've completely forgotten about the questions, what draws you to a deck. On the note of decks where I struggle, I have, this is the, I've forgotten what it is. Forgive me. This is the you're probably screaming down the video what the name is. This is a Solitary Witch. As you can see, I have trimmed it because this is a last ditch attempt with this deck in order to connect with it and to be able to feel comfortable using it. One reason I didn't like, and one reason I don't like Oracle as much as Tarot, is the size. Like, before I trim this down, this was huge for my hands. It hurt when I was shuffling. I didn't enjoy it. So I just thought, well, the borders down the side, what's the point? Cut them off. I've trimmed at the bottom, so I've took none of the image out. You can just get the keyword. But this is a beautiful deck. I connect with the artwork. I love the artwork. It's absolutely like sublime. But then some of the keywords, you need to sit into the guidebook. You need to read the guidebook to have a greater understanding. Some of them, some of them don't, but like this one, The Witch's House, what's this about? Yeah, I would have to read the guidebook. Whereas this one, She Is 1000 Flowers, is very, easy to link this in with the Empress card, that abundant energy. It's coming into like spring, summer, that kind of vibe there. Kind of Beltane, giving me Beltane vibes, easy to thingy off. Again, reading the images, she's got a little cauldron, she's got a familiar there, she's got a magic, but she's also being sheltered. Yes, you can read that. But again, I would be looking at the guidebook. And I did have this on as my, daily oracle pull, because I wanted to get to know the deck. And then I started trimming it, so I've put it away. I will probably go back to that because I've got a diary that I just pull the card and I write what comes up from the guidebook. And again, being on a bit of a time kind of crunch, this deck doesn't get used in the way it should do, or the way I'd like it to, because of the fact that I would have to read the guidebook. And Lucy Cavendish, her guidebooks are in depth. There is a lot there. So it's kind of a bit of a read, a bit of a, you need to spend time. It's not tons, but it's not a couple of keywords that you can just read and get through. This would have been great with a keyword. One keyword would have been amazing, and maybe I write a keyword on it to help me. That's probably what I'm going to have to do in future in order to, because my brain, you know, my brain has not got the capacity to remember all of this and to kind of have 20 oracle decks and their guidebooks all in my head. I need to have that keyword in order for me to be able to jump off from. And sometimes, like this one, nearing skyclad, I don't know what that means. So yeah, it's beautiful artwork. You know, I could read this intuitively, but then I worry that I wouldn't be doing the deck justice because I'm going against the guidebook or something like that. I think this may be a fear thing with me, that I'm just a bit fearful of getting it wrong. Like, I like tarot because it's a system and you can, to a certain extent, learn it and learn all the base associations, and then as long as your image, you can kind of draw it back into that base association, then you know, it feels like evidence. It feels more scientific. It feels more like a system. My kind of neurodivergent brain in that sense loves that structure, loves that kind of something to grab hold of. This, I mean, she was once a Selkie. I know the myth behind a Selkie, so I can read that card quite well, but others I might not be able to, and maybe that's a learning thing from me. But yeah, this is my last inch. I've got to edge it. I'm going to edge it in like a grey colour. This is my last ditch attempt to kind of make peace with this deck and kind of connect into it. Now, the second question is, why do you use oracle decks? What can they do that tarot doesn't? Well, again, it's a bit more open. Sorry, I'm just having oracles going crashing everywhere. They're a bit more open. They're a bit more, again, if you just read it from the imagery, it's a bit more open to interpretation. It's a bit more kind of subjective, and that subjectiveness is a blessing, but it's also a curse, because again, if you're, I always think back to, you know, being subjective and things like that. I always think back to being a drama teacher and thinking that a particular script would do well with a certain child, and then finding the examiner who comes in, they come in and they watch the play, just, you know, how it's done or whatever. I've had scripts where I thought, oh, they're going to get really good marks, and then they haven't. And then other scripts where I've been not as sure and they've got really good marks on it. And again, it's subjective. It's based on that person's gnosis, and it shouldn't be. But there's no other way of marking people and whatever, and they have a framework. But what somebody else thinks is exceptional acting is not what somebody else does. Like, I very much, my style of acting isn't in the kind of very traditional sense of acting. Yeah. So what I viewed was really, you know, good skills didn't have what the examiners were looking for, if that makes sense. So subjectivity can be a blessing and a curse. And I think it is really good to hone in that tarot. It really does help hone in that tarot, and that's mainly why I use it. And I think maybe, you know, I've been drawing one card with tarot, and I've gone to pip decks now because the scenics were bringing up too much information. Maybe I pull from an oracle I don't know, would an oracle have more? Would an oracle give me too much because I'm feeling like overwhelmed? That's why I've been drawing pip decks. I've just been right, oh, numerological association and you know, the elements and things like that, and then I've been getting on like this. This is the Green Witch Oracle, and you know, you've got your pine tree there and you've got the 3 keywords. Sometimes having more than one keyword will make me struggle because I want to latch into one and then just go from there. And again, it might be an overwhelmed thing, but this is a really, really good. I like this deck. It's really lovely. It's got gentle messages, but again, I would struggle doing this as a 1-card pull. I can do it, but I would use it more as a clarifier for Oracle. Not Oracle, clarifier for Tarot, excuse me. This, I think I'm going to trim this because, again, Oracle, to fit that Oracle size, you've almost, you know, put a border within a border and stuff like that. And I'm just like, no, it would be a much easier to handle for me personally, because I've got tiny hands and I'm sorry, my genetics are, you know, my genetics. I would feel more comfortable handling it like that, and having it kind of having it smaller, because I feel like this is like wasted space. Yeah, so Oracle, I feel like it does have that capacity to go deep and go even deeper than Tarot does, but there's that fear that I'm gonna get too overwhelmed with it. I'm sorry, my urban crow has gone flying, literally gone flying across my desk. So I think I've covered why use Oracle decks. Again, I do think they work with Tarot quite well, and I think they give a different layer that Tarot doesn't, and it's a bit more open, and it's a bit more open into your intuition. Like and I've got here this is the Dark Goddesses Oracle, and I use this mainly as altar cards. And again, I mean, Tarot can be used as altar cards and things like that, but I use if I'm working with a deity, I will use this card within that altar and things like that. I tend to use this with my Tarot of the Abyss, because the artwork again is like similar, black and white. So I do match this up aesthetically, but I like just using the keyword. But again, this guidebook is very small and it doesn't give you a lot about the goddess, and I would love to know more. I'm currently looking at the Arthurian Tarot, and I'm using Google Translate to translate that book from French to English. And oh my lord, that guidebook is amazing because it tells you all of the myths to do with the Arthurian legend, and it gives you so much. This was a missed opportunity, I think, in terms of being able to tell you, rather than a brief overview, more about each goddess, because a lot of the goddesses I don't know very well, and you know, some of them I know more than others, but like definitely more of the non kind of Western goddesses I would love to know more about and have more information, but I would have to just go out and, you know, use Google and things like that. I would have loved a big chunky guidebook with this, not that I might have the time to do it. But yeah, so yeah, I struggle. This is a bit of a conundrum. I struggle with Oracle decks that have a tiny guidebook and are just you know, a keyword or a key phrase and the artwork is not very specific. But then again, I don't like reading a guidebook, so, you know, you're never going to please me. I'm one of these that you're never going to please me. A lot of the decks that I would love to have, or I would love to have decks in that style, never quite scratch that itch. I like darker decks. I like decks that are more shadowier. I see the beauty in, you know, the macabre. And a lot of the decks that are aimed towards that market, just like the Vampire Fae deck, looking at that, it just misses the mark. And I think there's another one, the Queen Mab Oracle. Again, looking at that, I would prefer probably the Queen Mab Oracle over the Vampire Fae Oracle. But again, it doesn't, it's like, why, the artwork just doesn't, I don't know what it is. But then there are other decks where I didn't think it would be my style, like the This Is the Tell Me You Love Me Oracle. I didn't think I would use this as much, but I really do like it. I'm not a fan of old-fashioned artwork, and I think because it's been like treated, it's had stuff added to it in the collage, that's where it's really drawn me in, because this is very similar to the kind of style of artwork that I would like to create myself, like drawing over the lady to make it look like a clown. I've done that with my artwork and everything. So I really, and I do enjoy, you know, it's got marriage, agreement, officiation, and then it's got a phrase. This has got all you need here. You don't need to do anything else, you know, help support grounding. Yeah, but like reading his facial expression, he's kind of a bit like, how dare you? You know what I mean? And again, I like this because I can kind of read into it as well, just the, you know, imagery and things like that. I do enjoy this because it's just a hodgepodge, a mishmash of like artwork and everything there, and it just gives you everything that you need. I have used this with love readings and it's been great and very accurate, and I do enjoy it. I know some people might not like this and might, you know, hate that you know, they're tattooing over these images and stuff, but you know what I mean, it tickles my pickle. You know, in the words, I've had to take out all of the because it's got nudity in it. I've had to take out all the naughty cards, and that's, you know, the dangers of YouTube. Like, this is very much how I would love to collage in my art journal and do things, and kind of, I would love to be an artist like this. I don't do it that very often. Again, it's in the hobbies graveyard, but I didn't think I would love this, but I do love it. And I kind of wish that more decks would take that advice of the keywords and the phrase underneath. I think that's a really good way of looking at the cards. Now, I've answered how do I use Oracle. So I do one card pulls with certain decks. So there are certain decks where I wouldn't do, like this one, I wouldn't do a one card pull with this because it is quite shadowy, it's quite dark. I would use this if people wanted a particular shadow reading, because as you can see, you know, the imagery is quite darker. Again, it's got, you know, stuck, it's got the words there, it's got the image. All you need is here. I haven't used this yet. I don't feel like at the moment, I feel like a little bit like a delicate flower. I'm not in the headspace to be using this, if you kind of get me. Shadow work, you have to be in a particular kind of good frame of mind, good mental health kind of vibe in order to in order to be able to do it and to be able to do it properly. Like deficiency, I love, you know what I mean? It's kind of grabbing and clutching and it's all being kind of drawn out and stuff like that. I love artwork like this. I think it's great. I just need to find a use for it. I need to find a way of, and this was a gift from my son. I need to find a way to kind of fit it into practice. I don't think I could use this, you know, on lives as much, because again, this artwork's not for everyone. This kind of, you know, or even doing shadow work, it's not for everyone, especially, you know, having thrown myself into the fires of doing TikTok readings. Some people do not want to see their shadows. They do not want that kind of itch scratched. They do not want to be told, you know, where they're failing, and they'll get defensive and things like that, which is fair enough. Like, we're all on our different journeys, and same with me. I've had readings where somebody scratched an itch and I have reacted and kind of, it's, you know, a shadow that I've been meaning to look at. If anybody tells me you're not pushing yourself forward and you're not doing things like you should be doing, I get in a grump about it. And I know this is my shadow. I don't push myself forward. I don't push myself to do some of the things that I could be doing, like setting up my tarot school and things like that. But I am a stubborn Capricorn. I've got to do it on my own kind of terms. And sometimes shadow work is not for kind of, you know, not at the time. So that was a really long-winded way of saying I'm not using this deck yet because I'm not in that, you know, headspace to be not get caught on the defensive if something comes up. Now, yeah, so I think Oracle could be really, really good for like shadow work and for inner child work and specific, you know, past life, ancestral work, things like that, that really, you know, speaks to an in-depth, like journaling detail. Again, deity work would work really well with Oracle, or certain oracles and things like that. I mean, I'd be quite interested to use this with when working with Hecate, even though Hecate is not as scary as like this deck would be. I think she would possibly like this being used with her. Yes, so your favorite Oracle deck. Now, I've gone through one of them, which is the Moonology messages. That one, that is a favorite to use with people that are not like in the tarot community and things like that. They're quite easy. Another deck I really like, and it's a creator that I really like, and I'm trying to find out where the deck is Stacey DeMarco. So I really like Stacey DeMarco's decks. I don't know what it is, but there's just something within this artwork and the keyword that I just really gel with. And again, I use this for one card pulls. I use this to clarify things, and I've, you know, worked on my own associations as well as use the guidebook with this, and I really do like it. Like, it's been used quite a lot. I've used it quite often. The artwork just links in with the keyword, and it's brilliant, and you can just get such a good message from it that I really enjoy this. So this is the goddess of the moon oracle. I also have the goddess of the sun oracle, and yeah, I enjoy reading with this a lot. It's really easy to read with. I have associations with the cards. I've worked with it quite a while. I've got all the associations that I need to be able to confidently read with this and read with others, and do readings with this. It's just such a good all-round deck that I really enjoy reading with. Another one of Stacey DeMarco's so this is my favorite, probably. If I got rid of all of my decks, I would probably keep the Crow Oracle and I would keep this one. But another one I love doing readings with, and I use this with, I love reading actually, the other day, is the Deep, Dark and Dangerous Oracle. I don't know this as well because I don't know some of the like I know who Hades is, but some of the things that are being referenced, like Mithras, I don't know. Like, obviously I can use the keyword for loyalty, then I'm fine, but I'm still getting with the guidebook with this, and kind of learning it a little bit more. But I do love using this because, again, the imagery is so strong that I can read from the imagery and I can just use that. Some are harder than others, so I think that would be a little bit harder to read than others. The Vampire, I love this card. I just, being a girl that likes vampires, I love a card with a vampire in. And I would love a deck that is kind of very much like that all the time. An oracle version of the Tarot of Vampires would be a deck where I was like, yes please, because you can read so much of the imagery and things like that. I would love, but I've not found one. And I said, I've looked at the Vampire Fae. The image, I don't know, there's something about it that doesn't this has a soul. Like, this is digitally made artwork, but this has like a presence and a soul. I think with the Vampire Fae, I don't know whether it'd gone through some program or something. It just, to me, it lacked a little bit of soul behind it. And yeah, so some of these, like, for Photoshop type decks, for me, don't do it. The imagery has to be, speak to me or speak to the way my brain thinks. Like, I love that image there. The image just speaks to me, and yeah, it's got to be imagery, and if not, really good keywords and really good like phrases. I love this Medusa card, and like, I know a lot more about Medusa than others cards in the deck, so this is an easier read for me. But I'm learning it. Like, I had the Circe card the other day and just learning about that. And oracles are great because they teach you, I know tarot can do this as well, because like the Llewellyn deck from Llewellyn, it teaches you about the kind of Welsh-based myths and legends and things like that. Again, tarot decks can do that, but I think oracle decks have a bit more of that freedom where you don't have to fit it within the particular structure, so that the card can fully embrace like the myth or the legend or the character behind it. So I think that's where oracle has an advantage, where as if you are a creator of a deck, you can honor the story. If you're doing like a fairy tale deck or a myth deck, you can honor that. It doesn't take as much skill, because I've seen tarot decks where they've picked a character and it hasn't, you can see it, but on another end, you could argue against it, if that makes sense. So I've gone through, I think I've answered all the questions. This has been a bit of a very rambly video, and if you could see the state of my tarot cave now, it is, I might take a picture and put it in to show you the absolute state of my tarot area now. I am going to go and sort this out. But thank you to Strength Reversed for creating this tag. I've really enjoyed, and I think this tag has really got me to think I do need to use my oracle more, or I do need to embrace more of the oracles and that, because I think often I won't buy an oracle because I know I don't use oracle as much. Like, I bought this for the being able to use the goddesses for deity work. There was a particular purpose for that. I bought this to tell me you love me, for love, to go with love readings. There was a particular purpose for that. The deep, the deep, dark and dangerous. I bought it because I wanted to do, I've created a reading that uses this with tarot to get to the hidden depths of a situation. But a lot of the time I'm thinking, is this oracle, am I just buying this oracle to go with a tarot? Like, I was looking at, and I can't remember the oracle, but I was looking at a photography style oracle. It was a mass market one to go with the Somnia tarot, and I'm like, do I need a deck to go with the Somnia tarot? Can I just not use some of the other decks that I've got, depending on the purpose of the reading and stuff like that? Do I need to match my imagery together? No, really I don't, because I'm not here to please, to be aesthetically pleasing and to kind of be completely completionist, kind of having everything that matches and all goes together and stuff like that. I get decks because I like the vibe, or I like the messages behind it, or I like the artwork, and then probably I then struggle to use it because it doesn't have a purpose. I don't know. I'm waffling again, as I usually do. Anyway, I am going to go and clean my tarot area up, and I will see you again in another video. Thanks again to Strength Reversed and Lennox Reese for alerting me to this tag. Comment down below if you've survived the waffle. You can say I've survived the waffle, and let me know if you have any recommendations for any kind of again, any oracle decks that you think I would like. If you've watched me, you might know that my style is a little bit of an eclectic style. I love my MJ Cullinane and my Anatorian, but I also like my dark and gothic, kind of vampire-y, supernaturally kind of vibe decks. So let me know what oracle decks should I check out, what oracle decks would I enjoy and like, and not too big for my tiny hands. And yeah, I'm gonna keep going because going on that, because yeah, some decks like this standard tarot size is just about good for me. This is just about a good size. Anyway, again, I am Nikki, you are digressing, and I do Nikki the digressor. Anyway, yes, thank you for making it through the chaos goblin energy today, because it has been a bit of a weird and hectic day, a bit with disappointments and stuff like that, but that's like real life stuff, not tarot stuff. But yeah, let me know what decks you would recommend for me, what decks you think might help or suit my practice. You've seen a lot of the decks that I like, or a lot of the decks that I think are the most beautiful. I've got that video there. Like, let me know what you think I should look at now that I've gone through what I like. I like the good keyword. I like a good phrase. I don't like using a guidebook, but I do like using a guidebook. I'm an impossible kind of an impossibility all wrapped up into one mad box of frogs. Anyway, I will speak to you soon. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please give it a like, because it does help me and it keeps me going. And I will see you again in another video. Bye, Moonbeams. Have a wonderful week.